What's up everyone, it's Kelly and today I've got another swatch review for you. So today I'm sharing swatches of all of the new Ulta exclusive Orly nail polishes. But before we get into that, if you haven't heard of Orly before, they are a mainstream nail polish brand and all of their polishes are vegan, meaning they do not use any animal derived ingredients. They're cruelty free, meaning they do not test their products on animals, and they're also listed as being formulated without harmful ingredients. So if you missed it, they just recently released a bunch of new nail polishes that are exclusively available at Ulta, both online and in stores, but we've got a ton of new shades. I believe there's 21, and it's a really nice mix of super bright creams. We've got a couple of shimmers, and we have a ton of toppers, specifically toppers that have like really fun glitter shapes in them. So as a topper fan, of course I was very excited when I saw these. And fun fact, 4 of my collab nail polishes with Orly are available at Ulta now, which I'm super excited about. So I'm gonna sneak swatches of those in at the end too. So yeah, I figured I would just do a big swatch and review for you. I'll show you all of the colors and I'll also show you the toppers over some of the new shades so you can see some funky combos. But yeah, let's just go ahead and dive into it. So as with all of my swatch and review videos, I am using base coat underneath all of my swatches just to protect my natural nail and prevent any stains. As usual, I'm using the Orly Bonder base coat. So we'll start off with what I would argue is the most exciting release of this collection. This one is called All Eyes on Her, and it's this stunning medium cool toned purple cream, and as you can see, it is very intensely bright. It almost has this neon intensity to it. It's a little deep, but it's just so vibrant and very saturated on the nail, and it gave me perfect coverage in 2 coats. Now you may not know this, but Orly recently retired my favorite purple nail polish, which is called Synthetic Symphony, and this is pretty much a near dupe of it. So here's a quick little comparison. Synthetic Symphony is on the right, and you can see it's just very slightly lighter. I think you can actually see the differences a little bit better on camera than you can in real life, because in real life I don't think I would be able to tell which one I'm wearing. Next up we have the shade Dear Abby, and this one is a super bright turquoise cream shade, and the opacity on these are just incredible. You can see in that first swipe the coverage was so amazing. Now for most of these I did do 2 coat coverage, but I feel like when you're working with a polish that feels really opaque like this, that just means it's really good for nail art, because when you're doing designs on your nails, you don't want to have to go back in and do multiple coats of that design on your nails. So it's always nice to have a very opaque polish like these. I did notice that this one dried down very slightly darker than it looked as I was applying it, but it's still super vibrant, almost neon kind of vibes, and very perfect for spring and summer. Then we have the shade Touch Grass, which by the way, I love that name, but this one is the green of the collection, and again, just incredible opacity here. You can just see on that first swipe it was just so opaque, but I did end up doing 2 coats, and it's just a perfect vibrant green. It feels perfect for spring, but you can also just use this kind of classic green any time of year, so just very nice to add to the collection. Moving on, we have the shade Snatched, and this one is a yellow cream, and it is again super vibrant, almost neon on the nails. And one thing I did notice about this one is it has a very slightly green undertone to it. It's harder to tell on camera against my skin tone, but I feel like there is just the slightest greenness to it, which I think makes it look almost a little bit more neon. So it doesn't have that golden yellow look. It definitely has that slightly cooler yellow, which I personally love. And this one I did get full coverage in 3 coats, which I think is pretty normal for yellow nail polishes. Now with this new release, Orly also has a couple of sheer shimmers. This is the first one. It's called Hello Yellow, and this one is a yellow jelly base that has this iridescent pink teeny tiny flaky running throughout. It just kind of looks like a slightly bigger multifaceted kind of shimmer to it. So here's what it looks like in 2 coats, and as you can see, it does still have that jelly-like sheerness to it, so you can see the visible nail line through your nail, which I think can be pretty tricky when it comes to yellow nail polishes. So I did end up doing a 3rd, and I actually love the way that it looks in 3 coats. You can still kind of see that visible nail line, but it doesn't look like it's stained on your nails, which I feel feel like yellow jellies can sometimes give that look, but it does just have this really nice brightness to it, and unlike the other yellow, this one is more on the golden side, so I feel like it's definitely a warmer, brighter kind of yellow, even though it is a sheer. And because it has that sort of iridescent flaky shimmer in it, I was really curious to see if this would work over black as a topper, and I actually thought it looked really cool. You could see all of that pink shimmer really come alive on the nail, but it also just has a little yellowy hint to it, so I thought that was really interesting, pretty unique. Then we've got the shade A Vibe. Again, love that name. And this one is just your classic traffic cone orange, almost neon cream shade, and again, just really nice opacity. I did need 2 coats for full coverage, but it's just such a nice formula. I found that all of them do have this really great, very creamy formula that I think is very beginner friendly. Even if you're not applying it perfectly on your nails, it does self-level, so it kind of smooths out as it dries, which is really nice. And like I said, the opacity is just really easy to work with, so you don't have to take a lot of time or coats to make your nails opaque for these. And then we've got the shade Hits Different, which is an almost neon coral cream shade, so it kind of sits somewhere between being red, pink, and orange, and it's just a beautiful combination of that color. And again, just really nice formula, really opaque. I feel like this is such a perfect summer color. I always feel like this kind of coral shade is such a perfect pedicure color, but it also looks really beautiful on my nails. And then we've got the other sheer shimmer of the collection. This one is called Coral Crush, and this one is a sort of coral jelly base that leans, I think, a little bit more on the red pink side. And then within that, again, we have this really beautiful iridescent pinky flaky that has a little bit of a coolness to it. It almost looks like a pink to blue iridescent shimmer in there. So first I did 2 coats, love the way that looked. I did apply a 3rd coat, and I think it actually looked pretty similar because this one was pretty opaque in 2 coats, but if you want to erase any sort of visible nail line, the 3rd coat is the way to go, and it's just a really beautiful shade. I think that that combination of that slightly warm base with that slightly cool shimmer just looks really beautiful, and again, was just curious to try it over black just to see what would happen, and I think that that shimmer almost turned into this purpley blue, which I think makes it look very cosmic, so it's a very different look, but it's cool to have both options. And then we have the shade Power Pink, and this one is a little bit of a standout in the collection. This is the only formula that is a jelly with a little hollow sparkle running throughout, so we've got this almost neon pink jelly base, and then we have a very subtle silver hollow sparkle just scattered throughout. And what I love about Orly jellies is that no matter how many coats you do, it always feels like it's very smooth and not patchy on the nail. So if you want a more sheer look, 2 coats looks so beautiful, and there's not areas where it looks like it's more opaque than others. But if you want more of a punch with that pink color, you can do a 3rd coat, and you still get a little touch of that visible nail line, but the color looks almost neon on the nails. Next up, we have the shade That's Hot. This is the first of 2 pink creams that I would classify as neons. This one is a medium neon pink cream, and it's got this beautiful coolness to it that just has this, I don't know, slightly bluish undertone, and I love this type of color for summer. It feels like a very Barbie pink. It's just a classic shade. Again, it feels like the perfect pedicure kind of color, but it also just feels like the perfect summer manicure to wear, and the formula was incredibly easy to use. And then we have the second pink cream. This one is Bubblegum Pop, and this one is the lighter of the pinks. I would call this one a neon pastel, and again, incredible formula on this. I almost expected this one to be a 3-coater because this sort of neon pastel formula tends to be either sheer or kind of thick and chalky, and I found that this just applied like normal nail polish, but it still gave that neon payoff, which I think is incredible. Again, you could just see in that first swipe on the first coat, it was just so opaque. So very beginner friendly, very easy to use, and it looks beautiful. Before we get into the toppers, I'm just going to sneak in my collaboration shades that are currently available at Ulta because I think that's very exciting news. So if you want to grab these in store, you can. This first shade is Kelly's Moondust. This was part of my Galaxy Remix collection, and what I wanted to do was take the Galaxy inspired shades and make brighter, almost summery versions of them. So this is sort of this fuchsia pinky purple base, and then within it we have this gorgeous golden flaky flaky shimmer in there. So there are some pieces that are a little bit bigger and they catch the light differently, and I just think it's so stunning. I get perfect coverage in 2 coats, and I think it's actually a pretty unique color. Then we have the shade Kelly Solstice. This was another from the Galaxy Remix collection, and this one is just a really beautiful sky blue shimmer. Again, we have just this gorgeous golden flaky shimmer running throughout, and those bigger pieces just make it look a little bit more multifaceted, and I just love this bright color. I think it's so perfectly summery, but I also think it works really well for winter manicures. And by the way, all of the collaboration shades that are for sale at Ulta do come in the special edition bottles that have personalized artwork on them, which I think is so adorable. Then we have Kelly's Solar Flare. This was actually part of my original Galaxy trio, and this one is just the fan favorite. I feel like everyone loves this one, and honestly, so do I, because I love purple nail polish. But what I love about this one is just how dimensional and fun it is. We have this almost warm purple base, but then we have this blue shimmer and blue flaky in it that kind of gives this beautiful contrast, and it almost gives like a little bit of a heathered look, which I think is so different and fun. I just love the combination of cool and warm mixed together, and I think we just got that perfectly with this color. So now getting into the toppers, and this is the final collaboration shade, so I just wanted to pop that in here really quick. This is Kelly's Constellation, and this was another Galaxy Remix shade, and this one was pretty different. It's actually a star-shaped glitter topper. So we have these matte black stars, and then we have medium silver hollow glitters, mini white matte hex glitters, and then we also have a subtle little hollow sparkle running throughout. And I'm applying it the way that I prefer to, which is I like to wipe off all of the star glitters from the brush, apply a coat of kind of the smaller background glitters, and then go in individually and place the stars where I want to. And that's just something that I love about this polish, because you can actually create little constellations on your nails with the stars, which I think is so fun. And I'm going to show you all of the toppers, including this one, over a couple of different options, but this is just the way that I like to do it when I'm working with bigger glitters, which you'll see with some of the other shades as well, because I just think it's easier to have control over where those glitter shapes are going to go. I think it just makes the manicure look a little bit more cohesive. But as you can see, sometimes I do get a couple of star glitters or whatever glitter shape on the brush anyway, and I can just kind of move it around with the bottle brush until it's in the spot that I like. So this is the combo with All Eyes on Her, which is the updated Synthetic Symphony kind of vibe, and I love it. But I feel like this topper is just so fun to wear over any color, because we do have that monochromatic mix. So we have the black and the white, so it really pairs well, I think, over everything. So here it is over Bubblegum Pop. Again, just doing the glitter placement way, but the stars aren't actually too heavy, so they don't all sink to the bottom. You can actually apply it normally, but you just wouldn't have really too much control over where the stars would go. Okay, so now on to the Ulta exclusive toppers. I'm actually going to start with the toppers that are not specific shaped glitters, because those you can just apply normally on your nail. And this first one is called Disco Drop. It's actually super interesting and different because we have a really cool flaky mix of iridescence and hollow. So you can see it's actually just these like teeny tiny irregular flakies. So they give a really interesting shape, and especially over black, you can just see how much color is in there, because it really just looks kind of like cosmic, or also maybe like fireworks. And it's really fun to experiment with wearing this one over different colors, because we do have that combination of the silver hollow, which shows up over any color, plus the iridescence, which can look a little bit different depending on if you're wearing it over lighter or darker color. So just a fun topper, and I think it's very indie style, so it's very cool to see an option that's not only mainstream but available in stores. Next up, we have Moonstone Aura, and this is another one that I was really pleased to see coming from a mainstream brand, and also again available in stores, because this feels pretty indie style to me. This one is a super colorful hex glitter topper, but it's actually holographic hex glitters. So we have a really nice color mix in here. We've got pink, we've got purple, we've got blue, we've got, I think actually 2 different shades of pink in here. And you can see that they are super holographic, so super sparkly. I think this is such a beautiful topper, especially over darker colors like over black. You can just see how much this pops. But I think this would actually be so much fun to sponge over your nail, or also to do as a glitter gradient, just because there's so many fun sizes in here that I think it would just look like a really beautiful glitter bomb on the nails. You could also do glitter placement with this, definitely, but I think it's just so packed that it looks really cool and kind of gem-like when you're just applying it normally. So I thought this combination was especially beautiful. The Moonstone Aura plus That's Hot, which is the deeper pink cream of the collection, I just think it looks really pretty, and I don't know why, but it's somehow reminding me of Pretty Pretty Princess. But I really like it. Next up we have Scales and Tails, and I know I'm gonna sound like a broken record because this is another one that I would just not expect from a mainstream brand, and I'm so pleased to see it. So let me just say now, all of the glitters in this collection I think are very unique to come from a mainstream brand, and I just think it's really cool that they are accessible in store to people. So this one is actually a satin hex glitter topper, so we don't have the matte glitters that are just solid, and we don't have those shiny metallic glitters. These ones are kind of somewhere in between, where they give almost this satin, slightly shiny kind of look, and it's a really beautiful combination of colors. We have this pale pink, we have a little dusty light blue, we have a pale lavender, and then we also have these tinier soft yellow shades. So it definitely feels like a springy color vibe, but depending on what color you wear it over, you can really make this work for any season. So it's really fun to play around with. Again, I think this would be great to be sponged on as well, but I think it works really nicely just as a regular topper, and I think it suits so many different colors, which is so fun. I thought it would be interesting to see over Bubblegum Pop, which was the lighter pink cream, and I think it actually made that base color look so much deeper just because of the paleness of the colors in this glitter mix. So I thought that was a really interesting combo, but I do think I especially liked it over black. Next up we have the shade Starfire, and oh my goodness, the temptation to say that it's crazy that a mainstream brand came out with this is so strong, but I will try my best to refrain, even though I kind of just already said it. But this one is actually a multichrome flaky topper. So we've got these teeny tiny irregular flakes, and this one has that rainbow multichrome oil slick kind of look. My camera does not do it justice, but I think you'll see it a little bit better over black. But this one shifts so much depending on the angle that you're looking at your nails. Head on, I see pink, but it goes into copper, into red, into orange, into yellow, and then green and blue at the edges, and it's just so much fun. Again, it just works perfectly by itself over any color, and because it's a multichrome and non-iridescent, you can wear it over lighter colors and still get that intense rainbow color shift. So I thought it was actually a really interesting combo to wear over Kelly's Solstice, because again, I just like that combo of like a warm tone versus a cool tone, and I think having that blue base plus that very red, pink, copper, heavy, flaky is just a really interesting combo. Moving on, we have Twinkling Veil, and this one is an iridescent bar glitter. So this one doesn't look too exciting over the naked nail, to be honest. I feel like iridescent glitters tend to look best over darker colors, although sometimes they work over lighter colors as well, but I just think that the shape of this one is what makes it so fun. Bar glitters, in my opinion, are very underrated, and I think that they're also fairly controversial in that people either love them or they totally hate them. I know some people think that they kind of look like hair, but to me, especially this over black, I think it looks kind of like fireworks. It's so sparkly and interesting. So I think it's just really fun. Now, like I said, I do think that this type of glitter suits darker colors the best, but just out of curiosity, I wanted to try it over kind of a medium color. So I paired it with Solar Flare, which already has some shimmer in there. So I thought thought it would be an interesting mix. It's a little bit subtle, but I actually do think it adds a really interesting dimension, and I feel like it totally changes the way that Solar Flare looks to me. I think it's really interesting, but I'm curious to hear what you think, so let me know in the comments. Next up, we have the shade Looking Glass, and this one's really interesting. So we actually have this iridescent blue shimmer running throughout this clear glitter topper, but then we also have these really large iridescent shards that kind of shift around. They almost have this glassy look to them, but you can see a really beautiful rainbow of pastel colors. And again, because it's iridescent, I feel like it works the best over deeper colors. So this one really comes alive when you pair it over something dark, and I think that black is the best way to showcase this one because you can see that iridescent shimmer base just totally turns super blue, and we just get these glassy bits on the nail, which I think is really cool. It kind of gives a little bit of a shattered mirror vibe, which I think is fun, but over black, I also think it does look slightly cosmic. So this one's kind of funky to wear as a topper over other colors because you do want to find something that works with that blue iridescent shimmer. So I think that going with slightly cooler tones in the medium range is probably going to be the most interesting. I paired it over Touch Grass because I thought the combo of the green with the blue shimmer would be really nice, and I think it especially makes those shards look like glass, which I think is really cool. But I'll admit, a huge draw of pairing these together was that I thought the names were funny together, so we've got Looking Glass and Touch Grass. And that took me multiple tries to say. So now moving on to the shaped glitter toppers. This first one is Among the Stars, and this one is actually a moon and star glitter. So we've got these silver hollow crescent moons, we've got matte blue stars, and then we also have a scattering of mini matte blue hexes as well as mini iridescent hexes. So there's a lot going on in here. It's really fun. Again, with these larger glitters, I do like to place them individually, and in this case, for wearing it on its own, I did have a couple of the crescent moons already on the brush, so this is what it would look like if you super packed it on. But I also love the version where I wipe everything off of the brush and I just kind of apply the background glitters and then go in and individually place the larger shaped glitters where I want them to go. So in this case, I'm going for that cosmic starry night sky with some little hints of stars in the background. So we've got the one crescent moon and then I've got 3 stars, and I think that looks really beautiful. And I actually think that this lighter blue glitter color would look so beautiful over every single cream that they're also releasing with Ulta. So it was really hard for me to decide which one to showcase it over, but I ended up choosing Snatched, and I think that with that blue you can actually see a little bit better that sort of greenish undertone that I was talking about when I swatched this color. You can see that it has that very slight coolness to it, which is really fun, but I also think that this would look so beautiful over a pink or over an orange or of course over a purple, but you'll see I did use a lot of these over purple because that is my favorite color, so hard for me to stray away from that, but I do think that this is actually a really beautiful combo. Next up we have Hey Bestie, and this is the topper that I think I was the most excited about just seeing in the bottle because I love this lime green color. So we've actually got lime green matte hex glitters in medium and small shapes, and then we also have silver holographic triangles running throughout. So super fun. Less placement needed, I think, for this one than the other larger shapes because they do come onto the brush pretty easily and you can really just scatter them around and it doesn't have to look a certain way. So if you just apply it normally, which is basically what I did over black, you can see that you still get a really cool glitter placement kind of manicure. It just has a little bit of a randomness to it, but I just love that neon green color. And what I was especially excited about this one was seeing it with purple because for whatever reason, to me, the combination of a cool toned purple with a neon lime green is just the ideal color combination. And once I applied it, I knew I was right because I love these together. It's given a little bit of like a Disney villain vibe to me, but it also just feels very Halloween-y and somehow also kind of summery, I think just because the colors are so bright and vibrant. So this is just a really fun color color combo, but again, I think that this color would work so well as a topper over almost anything. I think it would look really cool over a deeper green or maybe over a pink, but definitely over like a Halloweeny orange as well. Next up, we have Hi Bye. And I'm gonna be honest, when I saw this one in the bottle, I wasn't terribly excited for it. I didn't realize at first that it actually had star-shaped glitters in it, but once I applied it, I ended up falling in love with this, and this actually might be my favorite, or at least one of my favorites of this new release. So this one is actually another star-shaped glitter. We've got these neon orange stars, and then we also have medium neon yellow hex glitters as well as smaller iridescent hex glitters. So it's actually a really interesting color combination here. With the iridescent glitters, I think they actually look really beautiful regardless, but again, I always like to see them over deeper colors so you can really get that full depth of color that comes out with it. So over black, you can just see the kind of rainbow within those iridescent shapes. You can see a little bit of blue, you can see a little bit of green, and I actually think that this glitter works really well just applying it as normally. Over black, I did do a couple of little glitter placements with the stars, but surprisingly, I found that the stars just kind of placed themselves really nicely when I just applied it with the bottle brush. So I was really impressed with that, and I thought it would be a really interesting color combo to try it over Dear Abby, which is that turquoise color, and I ended up loving this color combination. I think it's so different, and it kind of reminds me of like being young and in the pool. I don't know why, maybe it's just like the color of pool toys, but I just think this is a really fun, kind of nostalgic summer combination for me. And then we have the final glitter topper. This one is Bikini Bottoms, and this is the only one that I would say is probably more on the intermediate side as far as nail polish goes, because this one has a lot of larger glitter shapes in it, and it's a little bit harder to do a regular manicure with this. You almost have to do a little bit of glitter placement, even though you can do it with the bottle brush, but I'll show you over black. I personally like the way that it looks better when you're individually placing each glitter, but this one again has those neon orange stars. We've got neon lime green mini hex glitters, and then we also have these hot pink circle glitters. So it's actually really fun. I personally love glitter placement. I know it's not for everybody. It can definitely be tedious, but I think the end result is so cool. And I think this is such a fun color combination. I especially loved these neon glitters over black. I think they looked so beautiful. So here's what it looks like with a little glitter placement. I didn't put top coat on it for my swatch, but I would recommend doing top coat if you're glitter placing so that everything looks smooth and on one layer. But yeah, that's all the polishes. So I'll show you first. These are the full coverage polishes in the set. There's a bunch, and we have just this really beautiful neon sort of rainbow here, and it just makes me so happy to see all of these colors because it also makes me think of the warmer weather, and I think that these colors look so stunning together. This isn't really a color story in the way that Orly usually does their collections, where you have 6 curated colors side by side that work really well together, but somehow I still think that these work so nicely together. So even when it's not as intentional, Orly just manages to make a really beautiful color story. And then here are all of the glitter toppers. First, I'll show you them just over the naked nail, and then I'll also show you some of the glitter combos that I ended up doing for my swatches. But I know I kept on saying it, I am just so impressed that these are commercially available glitters that aren't just hard to find online individual glitters somewhere. I think that's just so incredible to see a mainstream brand really diving into the interesting ways that you can play with toppers. So I think it's really fun. I love seeing the hollow. I love the iridescence. I love all of the shapes and the color combos. It's just really fun. So here is the color combos that I did for my swatches, and you can definitely tell where my heart lies when it comes to color combinations, because I do love me some purple, I love me some pink, and I do love those blues. use. So this is just a tiny example of the color combos you could do, but I feel like these toppers really were made for the polishes that they're releasing that are full coverage, because I think they all seem to work so nicely together. Again, just the color combos with the bright glitters plus the bright creams just work so perfectly. They did a very good job with these. So yeah, those are the new Ulta exclusive nail polishes. Like I said, they are available in store and online. So I will link them down in the description. You can check them out if you're interested, but I honestly love them. I think they did such a great job with these colors. They're super fun and bright, and I really appreciate them coming up with shades that are similar to some of their discontinued shades. But what I especially love is those fun toppers. I just really appreciate funky toppers, and I love seeing a mainstream brand tackle them and just coming up with such fun combinations of colors and shapes. I just think it's really cool to see, and I think it's especially exciting to see them available in a store. And speaking of things being available in store, I think it's such a dream to see my collaboration shades in Ulta. That is just a huge honor, so super excited about that. If you haven't had a chance to pick them up, or if you're not a fan of buying things online, now you can grab them in store. But yeah, I'm super curious to hear what everybody thinks of these. I know they've been out for a couple of weeks, so let me know if you have purchased any of them already. If you're planning on purchasing them, what do you think of the colors? Leave it all in the comments, we can chat about it. And if you enjoy my swatch and review videos, please hit that like button, it really helps me out. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. I put out new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And of course, a huge shout out to my supporters on Patreon, my Royal Astronomer Amanda M, as well as my Cosmic Admirals Paula, Ken, Rosie, and Angel. I really appreciate your support, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye. Today's fun fact question is another would you rather question, because I just have a lot of fun with these. And this one, I found this online. It's, would you rather give up breakfast or give up dinner forever? And I thought this was a really fun one because I love eating. I'm sure most people do, but I love food. I don't know if everybody is like this, but like as soon as I am done with a meal, I am thinking about what my next meal is gonna be. And sometimes at night, the thing that helps me fall asleep is like imagining what my breakfast is gonna be. But that being said, out of all of the foods that I eat, I think that breakfast is my least favorite type of food. I really like eggs and I like savory breakfast, but in general, I just don't love breakfast food. And I know that I can eat non-breakfast foods for breakfast, but I do tend to eat breakfast food. So I would pretty easily give that up, but hopefully I could replace it with many snacks because I really like eating. But I could never give up dinner. I think dinner is the most exciting time of the day. It's usually when I'm like doing the most creative meal out of my day. Like if I want to try a new recipe, it'll be for dinner. So I could never give up dinner, but I would give up breakfast. I think that would be fairly easy for me because when I think about like cereal or oatmeal, like yogurt, I'm just not a fan of breakfast foods. And even sometimes eggs, like sometimes when I'm in the middle of eating them, I like think about it and I don't know, just like get weirdly grossed out that I'm eating eggs. Does anybody get that feeling sometimes? But yeah, let me know. Would you give up breakfast or would you give up dinner? Leave it in the comments and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.